This podcast is brought to you by the Anime Addicts Anonymous community. If you would like to help out the podcast, if you enjoy it and you want to give back to the show, you can go to aapodcast.com/join, or you can go to Patreon. And, you know, we give back to you after you give back by giving you hentai episodes, Hobby Addicts episodes. We just talked about Armored Core 6. If you want to hear Mason talk about Armored Core 6, Hobby Addicts. We also do our after parties, which are always fun. So again, if you want to support the show, give back to the show that you love, aapodcast.com/join or Patreon, and you'll be helping out a lot. And with that, it's time to start the episode.
Get ready! You're about to listen to the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast. Make your anime addiction worse at aapodcast.com. And now, here are your anime addicts.
What's up and welcome! This is the 695th episode of the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast. My name is Caroline. The room is being filled by my sugared cinnamon apple candle. It is fall, it is lovely, and we're here to have a great time. With me to have a great time is Mitsugi. Hey Mitsugi.
I just showed my nipple on camera and you missed it. I did.
That is disgusting!
I'll tell you right now.
We're going to get blocked!
The Twitch egged me on. I'm drinking coffee today. There's no liquor today. I drank it all. My job is very hard, so I'm just like pounding old fashions after work, and will soon be an alcoholic. So glad to be here. I also have a Monster because you can't have too much caffeine, and therefore I will be peeing my brains out by the time the news break happens. Glad to be here.
What's the combination of Monster and coffee like? Is it good? Is it bad?
Well, it's terrible. So it's terrible. So I'm actually drinking the coffee now while it's hot, and then I'll pivot to the Monster when I want my heart to explode later on.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and you can look forward to that probably during our review
Live on
of
camera.
Dangers in My Heart. That would make that would be very appropriate.
Dangers in My Heart was great. I mean, it's the best anime I've ever seen about a guy getting broken up with while he's at work. So we'll have to talk about that later.
The real Dangers in My Heart is heart attacks. So we're good to go here. We got Mason here. Hey, Mason.
Hello. Technically, the September equinox has not happened yet, so it's not fall, I will not permit any pumpkin spice candles or the like on this podcast. Thank you very much.
But by the time this podcast is on podcasting app, it will be fall. So how about that?
Some people say fall is after Labor Day. 23rd?
I thought it was like the 21st or something.
Oh, I don't know. We'll see.
You're right. I think you're right.
In the future, it will be fall, probably. You got a 25% chance when you're listening to this, it's in the fall. So you're right. Less of the time than I'm right. So I win.
Oh, it is the 23rd. So.
Hey!
I knew it.
Know it all.
Let's wait to put out this podcast. Wait a couple more days, put it out on Saturday, and we'll all be good to go.
Yeah, I will.
Please do that. Okay, well,
is
with
the chat
introductions out of the way.
Mitts?
I'm sorry?
Is the chat just making you strip? Like, let's see some bicep, let's see some shoulder, let's see some boobie.
You want me to do off the shoulder action?
Ooh, that's classy.
Yeah, I got that movie star chest hair too. Look out! Oh yeah.
If Mitts wore a dress, it would definitely be a one shoulder ordeal.
I mean, I tell you right now, if you want me to get undressed, I'm about to start.
I would like Caroline to continue. I feel bad for interrupting, as a viewer.
You can find us on Twitch, where you could see Mitsuki's lovely little peak show. You can go to twitch.tv/AAA podcasts, where we are live every Sunday at 5 p.m. EDT. Soon to be EST, perhaps. You can find us on Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Discord. If you go to aaadiscord.com, you'll be magically transported to our little community there. And you can also buy merch from aashop.info. I am in the works of something new. It's small, but it's a lot of work. So maybe within the next couple of weeks, we'll have that ready for you. And for this episode, outside of what we review for the podcast, as well as the review of The Dangers in My Heart. So, without further ado, let's get started with the big news of the week.
Dangers of my fart.
It's time for big news of the week.
All right. The manga Fist of the North Star is getting a new anime, so that's pretty cool. It says anime project, so who knows what that means. And I put this on here because I have never really watched Fist of the North Star, and I think I need to.
I've watched a few episodes, and it is fun.
I realized...
What, 12 episodes for Anime Club?
That's a lot.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. I mean, you have to at least watch the opening bits. The Yuwa Shock.
Yeah.
Everyone listening right now, look up Fist of the North Star opening on YouTube or whatever. And just listen to it, and at like the minute mark, 60 seconds in, it's just the most fire, like,
it's so
bridge
good.
thing ever. It's like, it's so good. It's so good. It's by a band called Crystal King, and they hit this next level of like that 80s terror, chonky, thick anime OP goodness, and it's peak. And that's the best part of the show by a mile. I don't know about the other 109 episodes, but the opening is worth it.
Well, I'm not sure if this is on Retro Crush, and I don't subscribe to Retro Crush anymore because the number of streaming services that exist offend me, but it might be on there. I don't know. I just feel like I should watch it, although I think it's probably just more or less something along the lines of the first two parts of JoJo. It's just like a bunch of these overly jacked dudes just taking each other on randomly. So that's kind of
a little different.
Most of the villains,
it's on Crunchyroll.
Look like they're clowns. Like they came out of Party City. They have a bright green mohawk for some reason.
Like Mad Max and JoJo.
They look strange, but I mean, it wasn't anything like incredibly entertaining for what I saw of it, but it had its moments of it being just stupid and fun.
Well, anyway, so this manga is a pretty big deal. I mean, it's a 100 million copies seller, so it's in like the top 20 or so probably of all time. It came out in 1983 to 1988, so it did all those sales mostly in only just 5 years, which is quite remarkable. And as we said, there is a 109 episode series came out in the mid 80s. And they had more, which came out in 1987, and then they had some OVAs and stuff like that. But I don't know. I don't know. I'm interested in this, but I also need to watch the other I want to call it JoJo, the other Fist of the North Star stuff as well, and I think the place to start is probably the beginning. Just 109 episodes is a pretty big bite to take on, honestly.
Just watch some of it, and you'll at least know what it is, and you don't have to watch all of it. Like, I feel like watching 12 episodes, I have a pretty good sense of what the show is. I'm sure it changes slightly, but if someone brings it up, I know what I think of it.
Yeah. There might be like a list online, like the most essential episodes to watch if you wanted to get like the general gist of it, and you can probably
walk
out like half of it.
Listen, I've got a lot of respect for the late 80s in terms of anime. Like, I think the 80s is just like a sneaky strong spot for anime that doesn't get really appreciated anymore. So if I'm going to do this, I'm doing it the right way. I'm going to watch the whole fucking thing. So I'm going to
just go into our Discord, start playing it, say, everyone, I'm watching it, join me for it, and get a bunch of people in chat to pog out with you, and every time they say, "Omae wa mo shinderu," and you all say, "Oh, he said the thing, everyone goes nuts. Yeah, just like that.
Nani?
And they'll be like, "Oh, awesome," and then you can just keep on watching it until you fall asleep.
Well, okay, well that won't take long. I cannot get through an episode of City Hunter. It is impossible. I tried.
City Hunter is bad.
I also people love that shit. I don't know. It's
that also has a great opening. Another top tier opening that's better than the show.
Seriously, does have a strong ass opening, and I tried watching Sherlock Hound the other night. I couldn't manage that. I hate Sherlock Holmes. God, hate him. I hate it.
Well, good thing there's like
Sherlock
70
Hound?
versions of him.
Yeah, I hate all the versions. Every version. I don't know, whatever.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a Miyazaki, and it's a Miyazaki series. That's why I put it on. But it's just, it's.
Oh, it's an anime. I didn't think
it's Sherlock Holmes, but he's like a fox. They're all animal characters. So All right, next up, Caroline.
Wait, it's not even a dog? A hound? Like, isn't hound mean dog?
I guess he's probably
not
a dog.
fox?
He's probably a dog, like a hound, like a bloodhound or something.
Okay, then it would make sense.
He's basically a human. He's wearing he's walking on 2 legs and wearing human clothing. So I don't know. He's basically just a human. All right, what you got?
Then what's the point of even? Yeah, whatever. Okay, in the news this week, Hatsune Miku concert tour comes to North America in May of 2024. So Crunchyroll and Krypton Future Media announced that Hatsune Miku Expo World Concert Tour Series is coming to North America as Hatsune Miku Expo 2024 North America.
Whoa!
By Crunchyroll. Whoa! So the tour will be coming to Vancouver, Portland, Oregon, San Jose, Phoenix, Denver, Dallas, Austin, Atlanta, Orlando, Washington, D.C., Newark, New Jersey, Boston, Detroit, Chicago, Toronto, and Mexico City. So if you are available in those locations around the time of April to May 2024, you might be interested in going to a Vocaloid concert. Have either of you guys been to a Vocaloid concert?
No.
Or what have any
not.
interest in going to one?
No. Is this coming to Denver?
I would be
It is.
slightly curious, but
Oh my
it probably won't
God.
be at the top of my to-do list.
Oh my God! You know what's so funny is that this is this is coming to Denver in April, right? And we'll be here. Yeah, and we'll be here. And it's coming to the Mission Ballroom, which is a well-known place where bands play. In fact, we're gonna go see Coheed and Cambria at the Mission Ballroom this coming weekend, which is hilarious because what the hell are they gonna do? Is it just a hologram?
I guess
Oh,
so.
it's gonna smell so bad in there. Oh my God, it will be beyond tolerating. I mean, the Mission Ballroom during I know we're getting sidetracked and this is my fault and I totally own it. The Mission Ballroom during the Dance Gavin Dance concert was literally the floor was covered in alcohol and sweat. I mean, people mosh pitting, knocking each other down. Just like spitting, sweating, probably peeing. Like, I don't even fucking know. But it's a nasty fucking place. I mean, it is totally enclosed, no windows, barely any ventilation. And you're going to put 10,000, essentially anime con goers in there. It might be gas mask worthy, honestly. you know who you are.
It's coming to Newark at the Prudential Center. And I could feasibly go to that. It's not that far, and my sister actually lives nearby, so
but
it's
how expensive
I
are
could easily go to
tickets?
this. I actually I don't know. Crunchyroll Premium members should have gotten an email on September 14th with a code for pre-sale access. General ticket sales will begin on September 22nd at 10 a.m. EDT. So I have no idea how much.
Well,
What smells worse? Sweaty metalheads who are drinking alcohol and smoking weed and are running all over the place, or sweaty neckbeards who just haven't showered and are just covered in Cheeto dust and Mountain Dew stains.
There's nothing
two different
worse.
kinds of smells.
Listen, there's nothing worse than the confunk smell. It is enough to almost extract from me a projectile vomit upon first smelling. It's all bacteria too. That's the thing. Bacteria is the only thing that really smells like that. It's just like, ugh, now you just need to, no. It can't be more than $100 a ticket because that's what the Coheed concert is. I mean, there's no way it's more than $100. I'm gonna guess.
I don't know. What were you comparing it to? What did you say?
Coheed.
I don't know what that is.
It's a rock band.
I feel like Hatsune
could
Miku
be.
is more well known than that. Because I feel like even people who don't watch anime or not really into that stuff, they probably have heard the name Hatsune Miku.
You can buy the tickets right now.
Oh.
I'm gonna tell you right now what they cost. They're $144
Where
each
though?
at the Mission
There you
Ballroom
go.
in Denver.
That doesn't surprise me.
It's general admission. There's no seating. You stand in on a giant floor and just yeah.
Are you talking about the Coheed show or the Miku tickets?
The Miku tickets are $144 each plus fees. So I'm definitely not going to that. It's gonna be
so it's probably 170.
70 probably. I'm like, yeah, fuck that.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Okay.
I'm
I
curious
would
to
say
know
it's
what
not
it's like
worth
with
it.
potential
Not worth
A
100.
brave subscriber to the podcast wants to put in a generous donation for us to also not go to it.
Oh, I'll go if someone pays. If someone pays me to
if somebody
go.
pays me, I'll go.
Yeah, but I mean, you take two people, you're pushing $400. I mean, and that's basically like that's like 2.5 weeks of groceries.
And
like,
for
that's
not even
happen.
a live performer, it's literally something you can probably listen to on YouTube. But it's on a Tuesday night. I can't do Tuesday night.
Oh, Tuesday night? You know,
at the Prudential Center.
you know what I'm doing on Tuesday night, Mason? I know you'll love this. There's some place in Denver now that sells fancy corn dogs. You can get them like Korean barbecue style. They roll them in like hot stuff. They got like 100 different types of corn dogs. We're totally fucking going Tuesday night. Corn dog date night, baby.
You can get a ticket. You can get a ticket for $7,300. I think it's like one of those suites. So I guess it's nicer, but on like a regular seat, almost $1,000.
Pancakes here, but she was not summoned. What do you need?
I don't know. You said something about date night.
I said corn dogs. She heard the word corn dogs and ran into the room.
She's like, it's my time to shine.
Mason, what do you got?
My news is actually anime related. Burn the Witch is finally getting more content. Yay! A recent episode of Bleach, Thousand Year Blood War, ended with an announcement of an anime adaptation of Burn the Witch number 0.8 manga prologue thing. So the director and cast of 2020's Burn the Witch anime ONA is returning. The film, which aired... This is not really a film. It's like a collection of 3 21-minute shorts, which you pretty much just watch as a film. It's based off of Tite Kubo's one-shot manga, the same mangaka who did Bleach, which is why it got announced then. It was produced by Studio Colorido and Team Yamahitsuji, and it was a pretty fun time. For only 3 episodes, it's a fun little world to get into, but it definitely needed more content. And I talked about it more in episode 546 if you want to listen to my thoughts, but you can just save yourself the trouble and just go to Crunchyroll and check it out for yourself if you want. You don't need to know anything about Bleach to get into the franchise, and it's still pretty new, and it's about time that it got more content because we've been waiting for a couple of years. So, yeah, Burn the Witch. We're getting more of it, so that's all I got.
She turned me into a newt.
A newt?
I got better.
I don't know what you guys are talking
about. Oh, come on. Have you ever seen Monty Python and the Holy Grail?
I've never seen it.
It's like an S tier movie. It really is. You definitely should watch it. Come on, that's a family popcorn night event. Oh boy. Okay. Well,
if we are done with the big news of the week, we can head into our main topic for today. What have we been watching? Mitsugi, what have you been watching?
Nothing. I have not watched a thing. I tried to the other night. I was like, you know what? We have this episode coming up. I better watch, something productive. So I threw on. Well, actually, I take it back. I am watching something. I am current on Jobless Reincarnation. Should I talk about that?
If that's what you want to, why not?
Jobless Reincarnation is so fucking good. I don't like. I've sort of given up on Dr. Stone at this point. That was Dr. Stone and Jobless Reincarnation were sort of the two of the shows that we were watching outside of the podcast. Dr. Stone is just too dumb at this point. It's kind of losing me a little. Jobless Reincarnation just gets better and better and darker and darker, honestly, and more darker and more darker. I mean, it literally starts off with Rudius is like, in the aftermath of the end of season 1, which they just touch on mature shit in Jobless Reincarnation. I mean, literally, this is such a spoiler. Oh, man, do I give a spoiler for the end of season 1 of Jobless Reincarnation? Eris goes her separate.
Well, if it's quick.
What? No, I mean I shouldn't. I don't.
If it's quick, you can just no. If people can just skip ahead.
Yeah, if you don't want to hear Jobless Reincarnation spoilers, skip ahead 4 minutes. Probably not even that far. At the end of season 1 of Jobless Reincarnation, Eris and Grudius have sex, and they do the deed, and then he wakes up and she leaves and she's gone, and he's like mortally scarred forever because he obviously was in love with her and she just peaced out. Even though they're like second cousins, which is really bizarre. There's some kind of related. And season 2 kicks off and he's just trying to find her and find his mother, I think, and he's with this party and the party members just keep dying, and just like it's just very dark. And then the one girl in the party gets rescued by him, and she, like, I guess falls for him because of it, and she takes him back to her room, or she goes to his room, I can't remember, and then like tries to have sex with him. It's getting very mature, and like she's laying on the bed and is like undressing and all this, and like they're showing all of it, and then he can't. This is so crazy. I've never seen it in an anime before. He can't get it up. He's got erectile dysfunction, and it becomes like a whole plot point in this anime where his brain is just fucked because he's in love with Eris, and she basically bounced on him. So he's got this like emotional, mental like barrier that's preventing him from.
Wait, bounced on him literally or figuratively?
Both.
Got him.
Bounce, then bounce.
Got him, yeah. She had double bounce. And then like he joins this other party, and the guy in the party hears about this and tries to like help him with his problems, but he can't. And it's just, and it's just crazy. And then like towards episode 10, this is spoilers for season 2 now. I don't know. I shouldn't keep going, but Jobless Reincarnation is just really good, and they're starting to peel back the onion on like the why Rudius has powers, and he's like isekai, but other people that were isekai don't have powers, and it's just like there's a lot of, and some people that were isekai entered the world, technically left Earth at the same time as him, but entered the isekai world like years after he did, and there's just like all these really interesting like things that they're starting to peel back, and it doesn't really resemble the Jobless Reincarnation from season 1 at all. It's mostly about like, it's mostly Rudius, and it's just trying to like, they're starting to peel the onion on what the fucking story is actually about, and it's starting to get really good. And no, I don't really care about the quality of the animation. I don't know. I'm not really in, as Twitch said, I'm not really watching anime just for it to be pretty. Like, I know a lot of people do that, and I stand by the fact that anime get good scores sometimes just because they look good. I'm happy watching like grainy dog shit from like 1987. Like, I just don't care. But yeah, Jobless Reincarnation is, I mean, every time I see one of those like ranking pictures on the Discord, it's always like, it has like 4 times as much engagement as any other anime that's out right now. So it's really fucking good. Anyway, that took too long. Spoilers end.
No, it didn't take long.
Yeah, it's just fucking. Are you guys watching this? I'm guessing no, but
No, I dropped it.
No, but I mean,
Bold
I'd probably
move.
get back into it. It's just hardly have time, and I always say this like every episode. Like, people can make it into a game. How many times will she say it in this episode? Yeah, it's just. One day, maybe, I'll get back into it.
Well,
I mean, the way I see it is, even if it gets amazing good scores and reviews and everyone like loves it and talks it up, part 2 of the season doesn't come out until like summer of 2024 or spring. So like you have to wait a while anyway. So why would I watch this season if I have to wait? Like, I'll just wait till that part comes out too, you know, because they're doing the other split core again. So I'll wait and see. I wasn't too huge on what I saw of it so far. So I'm glad you're still enjoying it.
Anime is just riding.
But I am interested in like the development of what's going on and like why is everything the way it is. I would be interested in getting those answers.
I clicked on Jobless Reincarnation season 2 on my anime list, and I was like, this has got to be the highest rated anime from that season. And it's not. It's the 4th highest rated anime. But the funny thing is that like all the top scored animes from that season, they're all sequels, like deep sequels. I mean, it's like Bungo Stray Dogs season 5, you know, Bleach season 73. I don't know what fucking season Bleach is on, you know, and it's just Jujutsu Kaisen's on season 2. It's just like all these shows are just like, anime is just basically riding on the coattails of like high profile shows that are in their sequels. Anyway, Caroline.
All right. I can't remember if I talked about it or not last episode, but I did end up finishing Welcome to the Ballroom. So at the very least, last episode that we did this, I was probably like halfway through. So in a rare occasion, I finished a show.
Yay!
And it was 2 cores. Ha 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 ha.
That was supposed to not be good, right?
No, I think
liked
it was
it.
fairly well received.
Was it? Okay.
The only major thing that I just did not jive with the show is that there were too many, you know, still images of people dancing. There wasn't. I can understand that dancing animation must be costly and time and effort and all that, but when you have a dance show and I still don't know the difference between a foxtrot and the quick step, Like, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Like, just give me a visual representation of how different they are. It's kind of what I was wanting still at the end.
It doesn't even pop up. You know, some anime will be like, they'll have like a chibi cutaway, and they're like, you play soccer like this. It has 11 players and blah blah. They don't even like do like a little
get it.
cartoon.
Like, I don't need the dumb explanation, because really it's not completely necessary to know, but I would like to be able to visually see what it looks like instead of having the
I see.
It's told to you how good they're dancing. The judges are like analyzing, oh, their steps are so clean. It's so this. Oh, look at those extensions. The way they're analyzing it, but they're not just like letting the show just dance and like observe it and appreciate it yourself. It like doesn't have the gumption
every once
to
in a
show
while,
it.
like every once in a while they will show a sequence
But
in
it's
full
so brief.
motion. But
I'm with you. They
it's
need
so
more
brief,
dance.
and I'm still not. Yeah, and people just look so strange.
Those
you know,
giraffe
because they have
necks.
such long
So-
necks. Like the necks are like they
Giraffe
look like
necks?
freaking giraffes. And then it kind of hurts to watch too, because
Oh,
you're
yeah.
seeing these ladies and their
Oh.
back is arching to a point where I'm like, holy crap!
Oh my
they need a
God.
chiropractor.
Guys, these necks are
just-
fucking insane. Oh, I have
Did
got.
you
I
not
have.
watch Welcome to the Ballroom?
I have got to screen cap this and put it on Twitch. This is too much.
No,
I
they
mean-
are known for the necks in this show.
Yeah.
They're known for the necks.
I mean, it looks awful. Wow.
I think they're just
I
really trying to enunciate the fact
To
of
accentuate.
yeah.
Yeah. Because
Enunciate-
they don't have the ability to show it in its delicateness. They have to accentuate it to make up for it.
Wow. Okay.
Overall, it is a good show.
Still a good show.
In the second half of the show, the main character, Tatara, he meets his partner for the rest of the show, his dance partner, and she is so freaking cool. I love this girl. She is just like,
Much merrier.
she can be a bit irritating. She can be a bit of a tsundere here and there, but like her attitude and her like in the whole discussion on what it means to be a woman dancer in this male-led sport where literally 90% of the
Here we
scoring is based on what the male does and not what their partner does.
I got this.
That was one thing that I was like not really jiving with, like when I was watching the show in the beginning, because I'm like, then what's the point of the girl being there? It's like it's window dressing. And
Because
they do talk about it, like and so I'm glad they at least address it.
I mean, isn't it because dance is from like the 1300s and it's based on tradition?
Well, sure, it's
Right.
based on tradition, but it's still not exactly. It does, like, you start to wonder, like, why do people put in so much time and effort? Why do women do that when they are just being used as a prop? It felt like.
Oh, I don't know, because there's a lead and a follower in ballroom dance, right? I don't know what I'm talking about.
So and I understand the mechanics of it. I understand why it is that way. It's just, why can't the woman follow or lead?
Because it's a traditional.
I know
it's like ballet. Like they're not
I
gonna modify it for modern times.
I understand. I'm not trying to say that like, oh, everything should be equal, but it just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, you're gonna put in so much effort in a sport when you literally nobody looks at you. So
I mean, that's
that
not
being.
Is that really all right? We don't need to get into it. I feel like that's
you
not
watch
true,
the if you were to watch the show, it kind of highlights how in scoring it doesn't really matter what the girl does. So yeah, but overall it is a very good show. It does take a little while to get used to the necks and the backs and the in the positions they put these characters in. But by the end, I was like, I could watch a season 2 of this. This was pretty good.
their necks is like it's like an executioner's like wet dream. It's this neck is like it's an Attack on Titan like Miracle of Science. Let's slip it into their drinking water so everybody has really big necks that we can target when we're trying to kill the Titans. Oh my god, these necks.
Are you looking at more pictures?
I'm also looking at like the impossibly bending arms of this guy in red. I mean, it looks. I haven't seen this anime, but based on this photo I have on Twitch, this is like some pretty shitty art. Like this guy's arm is for sure broken. And
it's pretty good animation. It's just very much a character design choice to make him long like that, and you just got to deal with it.
Now I'm talking about the hyperextended arm and Gumby like backbend that this guy's doing in the red shirt. But
yeah, there are times
Dance,
where you're like
baby.
wondering, was this like meant to be like this, or is it just weird? Overall, it was a pretty good watch. So, Mason, what do you have to talk about?
Yeah, I've got a classic show to talk about today, which is Dear Brother. This is
Oh boy.
one that you watched some of for Anime Club, but not all of it? Or did you finish it?
No, I mean I did watch some of it for Anime Club. I watched more since Anime Club, but I still have not finished, and I don't know
Okay.
if I will because I still have. I think I'm like maybe 3/5 of the way through.
Gotcha. Okay. So, I don't know if you talked about it on the show, but I finished it, so here
I
we
think
go.
I have. But
Dear
go ahead.
Brother is 39 episodes of non-stop drama, which uh
is it tea?
which is
It's
it
not
tea?
even tea. It's just like it's kind of insane drama.
I love
It's
the
like
tea,
Real
though.
Housewives, but cranked up a little bit.
Yeah, this is like
Okay.
tea and like cocaine mixed together. Like this is intense
Oh.
drama. And it's hard to be like, "Oh, people, you should watch 39 episodes," because, a lot of us are so used to watching seasonals. We have to crank out 12 episodes a week. We're not used to these 39 ones. But I watched it, and it is absolutely a show worth checking out if you are a fan of peak shoujo. This show almost feels similar in a lot of ways to Legend of the Galactic Heroes, but the shoujo version. Just the similar sound, images, animation, a huge, large ensemble cast. And it's not the first show of its genre to do what it does, but it's like a high watermark for it. And it comes out in 1991, and it kind of bridges the gap in shoujo between Rosa Versailles and Revolutionary Girl Utena. And yeah, it's 1991. Some of the visuals and directing tricks are a little bit dated, but overall it has aged extremely well, and there's just an undeniable charm to the cuts which hit more than they miss. It's directed by the legendary Osamu Dezaki, who, if you can, you're getting these like pastel emotional beats where, like freeze frames on a dramatic scene, and you get a bunch of Dutch angles, all the stuff that he's known for. And really, the show follows Nanako Misonu, who is just the nicest, most genuine, innocent girl you ever did see, entering a rat's nest of this all-girls high school that is just ready to pounce on anyone they can take advantage of. And the title, Dear Brother, comes from the fact that the story is told through the lens of Nanako writing letters to one of her teachers that she kind of befriended and affectionately calls her like big brother, just as a sign of endearment and attachment. And so she enters this private high school for girls, and not only are all the students there vicious and savages in a way, but in the school there's a like caste system, which is topped by the prestigious sorority, which is an exclusive club that is all about tradition and sophistication and just weeding out the weakest of candidates, so only the prime entries from each year can make it into this prestigious sorority. And all the students are trying to get into it, and it's a hyper competitive selection process, and that brings out the worst in folks. And it's all this backstabbing and underpinning and spiteful, enigmatic, savage, manipulative, endearing characters. And it's just really fun seeing the background behind why they act the way they do, and kind of what is, who goes too far and is unforgivable, who, can make amends and make solace and come to peace with the way they are. And it's just really cool. And it's a little repetitive at some times. There's a lot of recurring suicide attempts and similar types of bullying, but the metaphors are there to add different flavors to everything. The color palette's really neat, the framing, the symbolism, it all stays pretty sharp the whole way through. So if you like shoujo, this is one of the best that I've seen. And you can watch
This
it on
is soap
Retro
opera,
Crush
the anime.
and Tubi. Yeah, it is. It is just so excessive, but it like dwells in that. If everything is drama, it doesn't become like overwhelming. It becomes the norm, and just every episode, you're just like gonna see some girl call another girl a bitch and try to stab her, and you'll be
Yeah.
like, "Yep,
Stabber. Yes.
Oh yeah, we get a lot of.
Oh my
A lot
god.
of
One
weapons
girl that
that can be-
becomes she's like what's her name? The main character?
Nanako?
Nanako. Like one character becomes Nanako's stalker, and they just turn her around, becomes her best friend the next episode, and I'm like,
I'm gonna have
sorry.
to watch this.
You were being a bit inappropriate last episode, and now you're just like totally fine.
Yeah. So this drama, Mitz, isn't like, oh, you were sleeping with my boyfriend kind of thing. Like, it's not that kind of relationship drama. It's more of just a general going through life with very different mental problems and attacking each other.
Yeah,
for it.
there's a lot of mental problems.
It's an intense
vying
show,
for
but
attention here.
overall, it's pretty good and pretty recommendable, and it's not for everyone,
See,
but a
for
good
me,
time.
For me, there were like so many lulls in the story that like wasn't being taken care of by the dramatic points that it came out. So for me, it got boring for me.
Yeah,
sometimes.
and that's very fair. I really had to lean on my appreciation for certain symbolisms and metaphors that they were trying to weave through. Because on its base point, the plot is a little simple in certain stretches. And I could easily see someone being like, yeah, I got 4 suicide attempts all in the same, 8-episode span, and they all felt very similar. I'm kind of just like done with it. And that's fair. But I think there's enough of an undercurrent of meaning that I was able to push through some of the lulls. So, yeah.
So, before we get back to Caroline, I have a confession to make.
What's that?
I have realized that Mason is like 1,000 anime ahead of me on his list, and that there's only one way that I can catch up. That is to
by
go
watching it.
That is to go through my anime list and mark down all the hentai that I've watched, which I haven't done.
That's true.
And in doing so, I found an obvious spin-off of Yudu Camp called Harem Camp, complete with the same complete with the same font, an exclamation point, and it's about 4 girls that are in a tent that are way too small for 5 people. As Keisuke thought it would only be a one-night harem camp trip, but he was mistaken. I got to write this shit down. Harem camp. Yes.
Now every time
not watch
Caroline
Eurocamp, you'll watch
accuses
Harem Camp.
Mitz of
I
being
will.
a huge Eurocamp fan, he's like, I can do you one better.
Oh, it is absolutely just criminal. They should sue this company for sure for making this, because it is such a blatant steal of Yudu Camp, except they're all going to have sex. And therefore, your days are numbered, Mason, because I'm coming for that ass.
Well, this is 8 episodes long. To be fair, they're only 7-minute episodes.
Well, I guess
you need to pick out much more like 1 or 2 episode long hentai.
I've already seen like half of this stuff anyway because of the hentai podcasts. So I just want you to know that I'm coming for that ass, Mason.
Okay, my days are numbered. The noose is tightening as we speak. You're gonna just start watching it now while we're talking to like really just get a head start.
Can I request we talk about Vision of Escaflowne next?
But I haven't even seen much of it
Well, why'd you put it on here then?
because I think I needed some fodder. All right, let's talk about the Vision of Escaflowne. I watched 5 episodes of Vision of Escaflowne for Anime Club. I did not even get to the 12-episode point that we had assigned ourselves. I was not huge on this show. I think
come
it was
on.
very overhyped. You overhyped it for me, Mitsugi.
Well,
you
I
really
mean,
did.
I think they spent more money on the music in this anime than in some whole entire anime nowadays. I mean, to start
Probably,
with.
but if we're talking about like
Oh.
the story, it wasn't all that. It didn't hook me, Mitz. I'll just say that.
What was it about it that didn't
yeah,
hook you though?
I don't know. I honestly, it on its surface, I can't really think of why I didn't like it. It just wasn't enough, you know. It's been a while since I've watched it, so I can't even remember much of it. But if you want to talk about Vision of Escaflowne, and I'll throw in my 2 cents where necessary.
Well, I will say that I think you should watch more of it because this is a shoujo anime. But the beginning of the anime, yes, it does have the little romance with I can't remember all the fucking names in this anime.
Van?
No, they have the girl. I can't remember their names. I'm old. What do you want me to do?
Yeah. Yeah, I can't remember her name either. I just remember. Okay, so I can only remember some characters' names because they
Hitomi,
scream names every 5 seconds. Especially that stupid little cat girl. I cannot stand her.
So
I think she plummeted the show for me.
so Pancake said the same thing. So she was like, "Oh, like in the beginning of the anime is not very shoujo. Yes, it does have Hitomi and Alan, I think it is.
Yeah.
From so the track thing and all that, and that's cute. But then like Vaughn comes in and he's fighting the dragon, and then they go to his kingdom, and there's that whole like episode where there's, to be frank with you, an awesome war scene. That was a fucking dope ass war episode. But it doesn't really pivot into the shoujo shit until I'd say like episode 7 or 8. So and the cat mostly disappears from the show. So if you want to get to more of like the shoujo, like girly, like love triangle, romance type stuff, you just got to keep going a little bit, and it kind of pivots from the war stuff to more of like a balance. So it might be worth continuing.
I mean, based on what everyone else in Anime Club said that actually did watch it all the way through, I don't know. It didn't really seem like something that was worth what little time I had.
Okay.
A second time I'll mention that in this episode. But I mean, it was okay. It just, yeah, I think I came in with very lofty expectations because of how much it's talked about. And I know it must have set the scene for a lot of anime that came after it. So in that case, yes, it's reputable. But it's just, wasn't enough for me, I guess.
Well, you don't have to like it. It's okay. I forgive you. Just not right now.
Thank you, Mitsugi.
I'm going to be mad at you for the rest of the episode.
I'll try to get over it.
What else?
Caroline, did you want to talk about a show you wanted to, or do you want me to go next?
No, you go next. Since it's just between the two of us, I'm pretty sure I can get through my next two.
Okay. Yeah, we're doing good on time. I finished probably one of the best shows from last season that we're not going to review, which is Link Click Season 2. And by finished, I mean I watched almost all of it except for the last episode, which isn't out yet.
Did you watch Season 1?
I did watch Season 1.
Oh.
And Season 2 is wild, and it's a good time. And Episode 12, the last episode, airs in a couple days. And by the time we do our next What Have We Been Watching, I will have forgotten all about it because it will be too long, and I won't know. So I'm doing it now. I'm pretending that I finished it. And yeah, I would say watch this show if you enjoyed Season 1. And if you didn't enjoy Season 1, but you still watched it, give this one a chance, because Season 2 of Link Click definitely changes things up for the better. It was a big risk, but I think it paid off. So essentially, Link Click Season 1 tells a very kind of, not cute, but emotional episodic story of these two guys who, through the power of friendship and high fives, can send one of them back through in time to a picture to solve mysteries or try to solve events or whatever it is they're trying to do in the past in the picture. And it's kind of neat. It's kind of timey-wimey, and it's all right. It's whatever. And they essentially took that mechanic and in Season 2 turned it into a whole intense cat and mouse game where they're fighting against an organization of people that have similarly fantastical powers. And it's this whole super intense, mystery, card chasing, kung fu fighting odyssey. It's just a single plot. It's not episodic anymore. And it's just really engaging and really hype. There's some solid, visceral, consequential fight scenes. The plot is super well paced. It's just fast enough to keep you on your toes, but just slow enough to have you holding on for dear life and understanding. And despite these fantastical powers of time manipulation and mind control and all this stuff, it's very grounded and emotional, particularly in its form of presentation of domestic abuse and kind of the seeds of insecurity that kind of tarnishes relationships. So it's neat. It is pretty well drawn, really well animated. I'm not huge on the CG rendered characters for the title sequences. It feels like it's Blender bait, but it's not a big deal. The opening is super unique and innovative. Even if they're not doing their tutting dance from Season 1 anymore, it's a cool system of the opening plays forward and then plays in backwards, and it works both ways, like both sonically and visually, and that's kind of neat. And it's just easily one of the best shows from this, this season that's coming out right now, because this has been kind of a lackluster season in ways, and this has just been really engaging. It's been a fun ride. I'm very excited to see how it ends with the final episode. I feel bad for everyone who's had to watch this week to week, because it's a very bingeable show. It's very conducive to just, what happens next? Get it more in my veins. And you can watch it on Crunchyroll. And yeah, it's definitely worth checking out. Yes, it is a Chinese show. Yes, there's inherently more of a struggle to capture the names and just some of the speaking patterns, but I believe in you. It's worth it. It's a fun ride. And I'll probably give it a high score when I finish it. So there you go. Link, click, like season 2.
It sounds like season 1 and season 2 are fairly different from each other in tone, I guess.
It's very different in tone and just style. It's a completely different experience as a viewer. And I mean, you still kind of need to watch season 1 just to learn the characters and their powers. And the end of season 1, the final episodic section of it leads into season 2. But I mean, I guess ideally you could jump straight to season 2, but try season 1 first. If you're really not jiving with it, you could watch the end of it, but give it a shot. It's still worth your time. I still enjoyed season 1. I gave it a 6 out of 10, and I think this one will be definitely better by a lot. That's
barely above average.
It struggled in a couple moments of it, but that's me being harsh. You know me. So season 2,
yes.
Check it out.
You know what, Mason? All along, you've been saying that Annie List is better than My Anime List.
I mean, it's what I use, so yes, it's better.
And today I found the reason why. Why you're correct.
Because you can have adult content on it?
There's not a single hentai on My Anime List with a score higher than an 8. And I think that's a complete loss of all credibility.
Is there on Annie List?
Couldn't tell you. Caroline, you're up.
I'll check. I'll do some research.
You just made that statement Annie List must be better than Mal for no reason.
There's a very good reason. I just explained it.
No, because I can understand if you had proven that Annie List was any different from Mal in that regard, but you don't know, so it could just very well be the same.
Caroline,
anyway,
what you got next?
I watched 23 out of 24 episodes of Shirobako. Not because I don't want to watch the last episode, but because I ran out of time.
You can't bring yourself to finish it, huh?
No, it's just I had planned to watch the last episode today, but my sister surprised us, so I did not have time to watch it because I was hanging out with her. Anyway, so Shirobako, for people who are not familiar with it, is a show about a bunch of girls that want to make an anime in their high school anime club, but only for 5 minutes, because then they flash forward to adulthood and they actually are working in the anime industry. The first half of the show is very focused on our main girl and one of the girls in the group. The rest of the girls in the group are not really a focus until the second half, because they're all doing their own things basically. So so we watched this for Anime Club. I watched the first half and I really sped through the second half just so I can talk about it for what we've been watching. And overall, it's good, but I was kind of expecting something a little different. Because it's a bit cartoony in places, when I feel like it would be better in a realistic sense. Because they will do certain things in the show that are, like the main character girl, she has, parts of the show are on her 2 stuffed animals that she gives voice to, and they move around on their own, and it doesn't really fit in what my view of what the show would be like, more like the very realistic, grounded story of how to make an anime. And those parts are pretty good, although there are so many characters in this show that it's very hard to keep track of who is who and who does what. But regardless, it is pretty cool. And they will kind of bring in backstory to the people who are working on the anime and why they work on anime and if they even have a passion in anime or not. And that's good. People were saying in Anime Club, like, oh, if you thought the first half was a little bit okay, you really should watch the second half because it gets a lot better. Now, I've watched most of the second half, and unless something miraculous happens in the last episode, I wouldn't say it got a lot better, in my opinion. Yes, some of the characters did get much more focus on that I enjoyed because, you know, the core group of girls, like, they really only focus on half of them in the first half. So I'm glad they kind of got roped back in. But they did introduce some extremely hateable characters.
Extreme.
Yeah, I mean, there were a couple of them in the first half for sure. Like one of the production assistants, Taro. I freaking hate him, but I think most people do. And then in the second half, they bring in the editor for the manga that they're adapting into the anime, and he's meant to be hateable, but they freaking focus on how hateable he is. I just want to pummel him. And honestly, I think this show is more about being a working show than just how to make an anime, because they're introducing all these characters that you have definitely worked with, that you have met in your real life, and it's kind of like bringing up PTSD feelings. Like, I can't watch this because it's bringing up like memories of working with these people, and you just hate it. The reason why he's so hateable is that he is just putting in these roadblocks for no reason other than the fact that he's just inept at his job. And so they'll be working on the anime, and they have like all the storyboards done for the last episode, and they've had it done, but like this is already like a very tightly scheduled anime they're trying to produce. And he's like, actually, I never showed the storyboards to my manga writer, so actually he hates it. You need to scrap all this. And meanwhile, like, they need to have it done like yesterday. And I just want, oh god, I hate him.
You just want to kill.
Other than that, honestly, yes. There's also who else? There was another. Oh yeah, like the new production assistant. He is such a like he's as annoying as Taro, but for different reasons, because he just doesn't care about his job. And then he has the nerve to like get on one of the main girls' case for like for taking the job too lightly. Meanwhile, she's working far harder than him. So it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? That is my one F word for the episode, by the way.
You said it.
I'm trying to lessen the amount of F words I say. But that was necessary. Like, how dare you? How freaking dare you? And then we have the third hateable character in this show, and I don't think anybody else really hates her as much as I do, but because this new animator they bring in, she acts like a timid toddler. She cannot talk. She says one syllable, and then she hides behind a pillar. She's like, and she freaking can't talk to people. How did you get this job? How did you do the interview if you're relying on this one other person that works with you to decipher what you're trying to say from one freaking syllable? It's so dumb. And I hate this girl. I want to punch all three of these characters in the face. And I feel bad about the girl because she hasn't done anything, like, wrong, but she's so annoying.
I need to get that off my chest. With these kind of people.
I feel like anybody who has worked retail probably has met these people before. And I just hate that girl so much. All three of those characters can go F off. I have one more episode to go.
Wow.
Maybe something miraculous will happen and I'll enjoy this anime far more than I am right now. I mean, it's okay. I just expected more, I guess. And I'm a little bit disappointed by that. But it's okay. It's still good. It's still better than most other shows that, you know, have been out about making an anime. So, no, Aizoken's probably better than this. But there you have it. Shirobako.
I'm watching Hentai Camp. Or Harem Camp. Sorry, Harem Camp. Sorry, Harem Camp.
What's the verdict?
I gotta say, at this point, it's giving Yudu Camp a serious run for its money. I gotta say.
You haven't even seen it.
How do you know?
10 polls are being pitched. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
10 polls are up. I just
Oh my god.
these people in this tent. I just gotta say one thing. They must be the deepest sleepers. That or he drugged them. He's like, I'm gonna drug all of you except this one person. Oh my god, you definitely would wake up. Okay, back to you, Cotton.
Caroline is a savage today. A Vision of Escaflowne, one of Mason's
Trash.
favorite. Trash. Shirobako, one of Mason's
Trash.
favorite. Trash.
Trash.
Yoko Kanno. Fuck Yoko Kanno.
I like it. Caroline's being spicy, so I don't have to. Which means I get to
What?
say...
Well, you have,
Whoa,
you have one more thing
wee-wah.
to be spicy about.
Oh, okay. Am I allowed to be spicy then?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. I'm here to talk today about a show that is coming out. It's got one episode left that I have not finished. Sue me, but also it's recent, so I have to talk about it now, which is Fooly Cooly Grunge. I have watched
Oh boy.
2 episodes of the 3 that will come out, so we'll see. Yeah, so this is season number 4 of Fooly Cooly, following up the progressive and alternative seasons, which were a crummy season 2 and a alright season 3 respectively. And this show originally had concerns for me. We don't need more Fooly Cooly. It's one of my favorite shows ever. And the trailer came out for this, and it was like all this really gaudy CG. And it really just dashed my hopes of this being, an artistic and just, I don't know, anything of merit. But it turned out to be fine, actually. You can jump straight into this one, of course. But I don't know why you would. Watch season 1 first. Watch Fooly Cooly, please. It's only 6 episodes. Just do it. Honestly, I don't know why you would watch Fooly Cooly Grunge, though. There's a lack of charm, a lack of freshness, no new ideas, just some really odd cuts, like just weird things that don't make sense. Like there's a scene where our main character is talking to someone, and then you see the character turn, and then it transitions to like a first-person camera of our guy turning, and then a big like wall, this big creature like falls on the camera, and you're like, okay, so our character turned, and a big guy fell on him, and then it shows that he fell on someone else. It's like the first-person camera that we got transitioned to wasn't like, it's not clear what's going on, and it's just messy. And when I said that the show was fine earlier, I lied. It was only fine relative to my basement level expectations.
Wow.
And after watching episode 2, it only like solidified it that it's just a waste of time. Yes, it has the pillows doing music, but no, there's nothing new. It's all old
like
recycled
50.
pillows content. I'm only watching it because I'm just too curious. I have to know what they did to my boy. But also, it's only 3 episodes, so at this point, I'm in it to win it or lose, I guess. But yeah, I don't recommend watching Fooly Cooly Grunge. I mean, already watching the sequels were iffy territory, and we do have the 5th season of Fooly Cooly, though I don't know if it'll be another 3 episodes coming out in a couple weeks. I mean, I'm gonna watch it. I can't. I'm in too deep at this point. But that's Fooly Cooly Shoegaze, so at least it's a better genre. Hopefully they play shoegaze music.
What?
But yeah.
Do they play grunge in this?
No, I have not heard any grunge yet.
So you're probably not going to hear any shoelace.
Probably not.
I'm not going to say anything bad about Fooly Cooly, because even though I'm not the biggest Fooly Cooly fan, but I will say I thought the Fooly Cooly was basically about like going through puberty or something.
Yeah, I mean that's the primary directive.
What do they still have to talk about at this point? I feel like it was fine with just the 6 episodes. Why are we continuing?
It's just the most recycled content. It's just taking iconic characters, taking Haruko that you know and love, and putting her into another series because it worked the first time, right? Like, it's so... Fooly Cooly told a very interesting story with crazy metaphors and weird symbolism and just pushed creativity in as many ways as it would go, like an amoeba. And what you got was just a really wacky, fun ride. And like, it's a very singular experience. And they are just trying to tap in to mine the same minerals that it came up with. And they're just digging in the same spot, but it's empty. There's nothing there left to discover. And I get it. If you want to do a new season, like, come up with some new ideas, new iconography, just new spirit and style. But it's just so... they're too scared to move on. They're like not listening to the Fooly Cooly lessons of the first season, and just, I don't know. Like, it's hard to say because they're all very experimental. They're all a couple episodes, so it's not like you're going to waste hours and hours of your life, but it's just kind of ironic that a show about moving on and growing up and evolving is not doing that.
I feel like they're like way past puberty now.
I mean, it's new characters. It's
Twitch is
literally the same character archetype. It's just essentially a clone in this one. It's a guy named Shinpachi who just looks exactly like OG Fooly Cooly guy. And it's just Fooly Cooly, that's what I'm calling him. Like Conti the robot, he's back just to have him back. Like there's no, maybe this is a prequel, maybe, who knows? It doesn't matter. Don't watch Fooly Cooly Grunge. It's not worth it. That's my message of the day.
Twitch is so odd. They just choose the weirdest shit to block, but then they only block things that they really think are problems, and then they don't block other things. We don't need to get into it, but it's silliness. All right, well, we're out of time.
All right. Oh, one more thing.
Well, I mean, okay. We're
okay, one more thing.
Probably 8 minutes past the cutoff for news break, but we can keep going.
It's okay. Okay.
I just want to have time for the anime review.
There's not much to say. Moving on. Go for it.
Final thing. I finished Kubo-san Won't Let Me Be Invisible, and it was cute. I like Kubo-san. She's adorable. She's just a little girl who has a crush. And even though the main character, who's basically so invisible that not even automatic doors will notice his presence, I'm not entirely sure why she has a massive crush on this boy, but I'm like, let her have a massive crush on this boy. And the boy's kind of, pleasant for the most part anyway. He just doesn't have much of a presence. And his little brother is adorable too. And, they just get into hijinks and Mitz would freaking hate this show. It is like Dangers in My Heart, but without as much, murder. But it's good if you like these kind of shows. So I recommend.
Kubo-san Won't Let Me Be Alive. That would be the crossover we need.
Yeah, that would be last week's main topic. Okay, so let's go into our weekly trivia question. In the show The Dangers in My Heart, which anime character does Ichikawa have as his line profile image? We'll give you the answer after the news break.
Anime Addicts, Mitsugi's here. I'm bringing you your anime news. Getting us started off with a new anime adaptation. The manga Trillion Game is going to be getting an adaptation. This according to Kadokawa. The adaptation of Riichiro Inagaki and Ryoichi Ikegami's Trillion Game will be on TBS and other channels coming up here. Inagaki, of course, is heavily responsible for Dr. Stone and Yaishio 21, and Ikegami, Sanctuary, and Crying Freeman. So these are two pretty heavy-hitting authors here who have done a lot of work on some pretty notable manga. Trillion Game has 1.5 million copies in circulation. The story is about a boy named Haru who is a charismatic youth who gets offered a job at an IT company but turns it down to go on an entrepreneurial journey to raise $1 trillion. Well, really, I guess maybe it's yen. I'm not really sure. $1 trillion, though. So we'll have to see. Probably a property that most people won't care about because that just doesn't seem to hit the note of most current anime these days. Next up in the news, we do have something sad. The author of the Cobra manga, Buichi Terasawa, dies at age 68 of a myocardial infarction. Buichi Terasawa had previously survived 3 brain tumor surgeries, which they joked was with the same vitality as Cobra himself, but this time he was unable to overcome this myocardial infarction. So very sad, as Cobra was a pretty big hit. The Cobra manga, it premiered in 1977 with a one-shot and then had a 6-year run from 1978 to 1984 where it sold 50 million copies of the manga, making it one of the highest-selling manga of all time. It's right around there in the same, it's like there with Devilman and City Hunter Dragon Quest and a few others, a little higher than Great Teacher Onizuka. Just really sad. A legend in the industry has passed away. Next up, the manga Dungeon Meshi, which is one of Mandy's favorites, ends. So it is ending with the 97th chapter on the 107th issue of Harta. So this began serializing back in 2014, so it has had a pretty long run. If you're a fan of Dungeon Meshi, well, I think that there is a TV anime premiering by Trigger in January of 2024, so that's probably going to be a pretty big deal. So you have that to look forward to. And lastly in the news, another new anime getting a sequel here. Bang Dream, It's My Go is getting a TV sequel. So the 13th and final episode of the first season of this revealed that a sequel is indeed coming out. Produced by Sans again. It premiered on June 29th. It's on Crunchyroll. If you're a fan of Bang Dream, well, you're going to get to have an entire sequel coming out here sometime, I imagine, pretty soon. This is Mitsugi, and this was your anime news break. Now, time to get back to the podcast. All right, time for some YouTube. I wonder what kind of horrible commercials I get subjected to this time.
Pizza or salad?
Oh, it's this fucking guy with his abs.
What do you think I'm having for dinner tonight?
Who really gives a
Not
shit?
This. It's definitely not this rabbit food. Why?
Skip.
Because
At Tommy John, we
YouTube, why do you hate me?
Comfortable underwear. And
Stuff the underwear in your mouth so you stop talking. Before you check out every episode of this podcast, I bet you're really missing having to look at dudes' abs or see bulges in men's underwear simply because you're trying to check out some anime. But of course you don't, and we won't torture you with commercials like that. Instead, you can help this podcast remain ad-free by heading over to aapodcast.com/join or Patreon/AAApodcast. You won't have to listen to any horrible commercials, and you'll be getting 8 exclusive extra podcast episodes a month, our hentai episodes, our hobby addicts, and our after party episodes, just for you. Again, if you want to help us remain ad-free, go to aapodcast.com/join or Patreon.
Hi, my name is Tadao Tomomatsu, host of Anime Sushi and international actor and interviewer.
And I am an anime addict.
No. I'm an anime addict.
No. I'm an anime addict. Hooray.
Welcome back to the podcast. When we left you, we had a trivia question for you. In the show, The Dangers in My Heart, which anime character does Ichikawa have as his line profile image? And I never noticed, by the way. I think I'm too busy trying to read things before they disappear, usually. The answer is Rem from ReZero, who was a Final Four contestant in our recent waifu war, but ultimately a loser.
They actually do mention that it's Rem in the show, not just seeing it on screen. Because a girl looks over his shoulder and it's like, oh, is that Rem? And he's like, oh yeah, or something like that.
All right. Well, now that we're back from the news break, we do have a great rest of the show for you. We're going to do mailbags, and we're going to jump into The Dangers in My Heart, a show that everybody thinks that I will hate, but we'll have to find out. Sometimes being dumped by your significant other while you're at work isn't necessarily a bad thing. All right. Are we ready for mailbags?
I think so.
It's time for an almighty anime mailbag. Anime.
Mailbag.
If you would like to leave us a mailbag, you would probably need to know what it is. It's a place where you can ask us questions or comments or whatever you want. You can do so by going over to aapodcast.com, clicking on the Mailbags and More button at the top, and submitting whatever you want, just like Southern Air did. And they write, "Hey AAA, thanks for making my anime addiction worse, and watching nearly every anime each season so I don't have to. You're welcome. I'm
Not every
currently
anime.
rewatching.
We would never get through them all.
We watch a little bit of most of them.
Yeah, a little bit.
I'm currently rewatching Mushishi, and I'm surprised at how much I remember from the show. And even though it's been over a decade since I originally watched it, it holds up really well. Could you talk about any anime you've recently rewatched and whether it was as good as you remembered? Relatedly, are there any particular shows that you would recommend to rewatch? If I've already seen it, and any shows that aren't worth rewatching again. So rewatches, good ones, bad ones, and which ones should you do? Mitsugi, what do you think?
I think the yen is at 147.8 to the dollar,
Ooh.
which is a new record every day. You should either go to Japan ASAP for vacation or buy yen right now and put it on like a debit card or in some kind of an account so you can have cheap yen for when you do go to Japan because, oh my God. Gonna be able to go,
Japan. Going to Japan. Do it.
You're going to be able to sleep in like a nice hostel in Japan for like $14 a night at this point. It's going to be so ridiculous. Well, I rewatched Ippo recently. We already know that, and it was just as good as before, if not better. Honestly, it holds up unbelievably well, and still extracted plenty of tears from me during the more emotional like fight scenes when Ippo is digging deep to find out what it is to be strong and all that. And for stuff that's not worth rewatching, there's a lot of stuff I watched when I was young that's just trash, and it's like you don't really realize it's trash until your tastes kind of solidify, but it's pretty hard for most people to argue that like Love Hina, which is like a thing that most people watched back when like anime was first hitting DVD, like a lot of people had Love Hina, just trash, honestly. Like it's just not worth rewatching. Mahoromatic, All-Purpose Cultural Kakuro Nuku Nuku, like a lot of these shows from back then, they're just not worth rewatching at all. So yeah, the chat like Love Hina, yeah. Love Hina was like the first anime I ever saw where characters were obviously in love with each other, but every time they would get close to like kissing or something, someone would like fly through a wall or just some bullshit. It's like, and a volcano would erupt in a place where there's no volcano. Just like goofy shit. Anyway, Caroline.
I haven't really rewatched anything recently, but I do remember rewatching the first season of The Devil's a Part-Timer for Anime Club last year. And I have to say, I was pretty disappointed that I didn't like it as much as I did before. I think part of it being when I watched The Devil as a Part-Timer for the first time, I had not seen that many anime. So, like, the more you watch, the more specific your preferences are, I guess. But I will say that some of the comedy is still pretty great, at least in the first season. But the flaws were just a little more obvious to me, I guess. In terms of what would be a good rewatch, Attack on Titan is a good rewatch. I've rewatched that many times in the past. But one that we discussed during one of our recent reviews, Heavenly Delusion, probably would be a good rewatch too, because then I would pick up on all the things that I missed. Mason, what do you got?
Yeah, Attack on Titan has definitely been on my list of shows that would probably bode well for a rewatch. My brother is very sharp on things, huge Attack on Titan fan, and he's rewatched it a bunch of times and always expresses to me how much was foreshadowed and how many like hints and stuff they drop along the way that I think would just be like, oh my goodness, it was there the whole time. And I love that kind of stuff. As far as shows that I'm definitely eager to rewatch is Rakugo Shinju, I think would be a bunch of fun, and Kubikuri Cycle, a good mystery one, and Sunny Boy, just because I just need another round of digesting whatever that show was on. So I tend to really only rewatch shows that I really enjoyed. I don't tend to rewatch shows I wasn't a big fan of.
Really?
So I found most shows hold up pretty well. And I'm actually going through Mushishi again as well. And yeah, it definitely, some episodes are better than I remember. And some are just like, yeah, this is just not one of the ones I remember liking a lot. But it's still a good time. Rewatching has its value. I just don't do it much, so. Yeah, thank you for the question, Southern Air, and listeners, AAA Podcast. You can submit your questions as well, and we'll get to it when we get to it. There's no law or order about how we do it.
So with that, I suppose we go into review now. The Dangers in My Heart. So this one, actually, it's been a while since we kind of needed to get back into this one. I reviewed it on did impressions on it in episode 674. It was a spring 2023 anime, the final one. We really did tag this on the end of our list here. So you can watch it on High Dive, much to the chagrin of Mitsugi. But the overall synopsis of the show is Kyotaro Ichikawa is pretty shy, reserved middle school student, but deep within his heart is a bloodthirsty killer. So for the first couple episodes of this show, he is, for whatever reason, intent on wanting to kill the idol of his class, Anna Yamada. She's beautiful. She's a model. She looks like she's 25, but really she's like 13, 14. It's a little weird, but he just can't stand this girl. But it's actually because he comes to the realization he just might have a crush on her. So that's it.
Jesus Christ.
It's classic rom-com without much rom, because it's all the build up to the eventual rom that might be in, like, I don't know, chapter 150 of the manga. Yeah. So this is directed by Hiroaki Akagi, done by Shin-A Animation, is based on a manga, as we mentioned. So mindset going in. I was at first not entirely certain of this show. Then I heard the beautiful music that came in at the end of, like, I don't know, one of the first episodes. Ushio! And if you don't know what we're talking about, it's by the same guy who did music for A Silent Voice. So the music is very good in this show. I kind of got hooked on it within the first 3 episodes, and then I passed it. So, Mitsugi, what were you thinking of going into this show?
Well, people have been telling me for at least six weeks prior to watching this that I was gonna hate it, want to kill myself, want to, quit the podcast, want to just like bury myself in a hole somewhere. It's just a lot.
Well, I think it was a mix of this show and the fact that this is our 4th rom-com review from this season.
Yeah, why?
So
is
it was
that?
the collection of Insomniac, Skip and Loafer, Yamada 999, and Dangers in My Heart. I think it was like the collection of those that was going to cause you to implode.
Yeah, I'd like to know
Dangers in Mitsugi's heart.
I'd like to know why we watch so many rom-coms. I'm pretty sure they only have about 5% of all viewership market share, like in anime. So how does it end?
I don't know. I feel like with this one particular season, there were just a lot of them.
It's fine. It's fine. You guys pass whatever you want to pass. It's fine. I will watch whatever. I thought I was going to hate it because I was literally told that forever. So, it's simple.
Okay. Mason.
Yeah, this was the second Yamada-based love interest romance show that Caroline passed, and I was cautious. Not because of Caroline's track record, just more so I didn't get a clear feeling during her impression, like what I was getting into. It was just kind of all over the place of like, oh, this kid is kind of weird, but also kind of sweet, and like, I don't know. I didn't know what I was really getting into. And with all the romance shows we have been reviewing, they can't all be amazing. So I was going in very skeptical on what we were going to get.
Mason, I hate to tell you, but not to contradict you, but you wrote none on the outline. And that sounded like a lot more than none.
I didn't really have expectations for what to expect from the show. Like, I had just general thoughts, so I can put those in if you want. But
I just think, you just gave me an opportunity to make a joke that no one laughed at.
I mean, I also completely forgot to fill out the pros and cons part till just now, so you're not wrong.
Spoiler-free recommendation, Mitsugi.
I would recommend this. It's funny, but it's just a stroke of luck when you're at work and you're working really hard and you get a call from your girlfriend and it's her birthday and she breaks up with you. And that sounds really terrible, but then you find out that one of your like really hot coworkers has had like the hots for you secretly for quite a while, and and let's not mince words. Miho Tsujinaka, definitely hot,
What are we talking about?
Smith, excuse me. This is not the hentai episode from
Oh wait. Oh my god. I'm sorry. I'm doing a review of Kono Koi ni Kizuite, the animation that's sweeping the hentai world, as covered on the last hentai episode. Okay, wait a second. Where was I? Okay, yes, no, I do not recommend Dangers in My Heart. It's just the latest blue ball-a-thon with two characters that would never link up ever. Although I will say this has at least to me, an unbelievable OP. And not only is the OP excellent, the animation is fucking excellent. The OP is probably better than the anime itself. Anna is a fucking bombshell. Like a nuke just goes off in that classroom every single morning when she walks in. She's the vastly improved version of Komi. Like, she looks like Komi, but she's even better looking than Komi. But she's also like not. She's ditzy, but she's not. We all know.
Socially inept.
Well, Komi, I'd say, is a little. Yes, we can go with that. But Ichikawa ruins this anime. He's just terrible. This is another one of those.
Okay.
It's another one of those, like, Beauty and the Beast type stories. Like, here's Belle. She's so gorgeous and amazing. Here's the Beast. It's like, like he's like hiding in the shadows, and suddenly they fall in love, or it's been done like a bunch of times. I don't know. We'll get into it, but I don't like him. I don't like him very much. And
He's a bit emo.
And the Dangers in My Heart thing is just the latest in the gimmick to kick off, like, what was it in the last show? We had, they were insomniacs. And then before that, it was, he thinks she's a boy. And now in this one, it's like, he has dangers in his heart. But it only really sticks around for like 2 episodes maybe. And nothing ever really happens with that at all. It's just like some plot gimmick to like make this slightly different than all the other rom-coms that are just like it. And yeah, it's not horrible, but I would not recommend it.
Funny you say that. I would recommend it. Mostly because I love shows like this. I know a lot of people think like, okay, it's stupid, it's done before. Yeah, a lot of this has been done before. Yes, it's tropey, but there is a market for this. Like, people who like Komi, people who like Kimi ni Todoke, people who like Kubo-san, people who like My Clueless First Friend, My Dress Up Darling, etc. This is that type of show. And it'll probably be up your alley. I think the production value is fairly good. It looks good. It sounds good. The music, of course, as I mentioned, is very good. It is a little weird for a boy to go from prepping to murder someone to having a crush on them. And I don't know how I'd feel about that being the beginning of romantic relationship in real life, but it's anime, so who cares? Can you imagine, like, if Ichikawa and Anna do get together, how, like, and they eventually, like, actually are a couple. The mere fact that he hides under a freaking bed to shank this girl, having that be in your back of your mind, like, okay, and now you're loving them, that's a little weird. And okay, anyway, so it's also uncomfortable to be reminded that Anna is 14 and she looks 20, and they definitely focus on that, and she's a very pretty girl. It's a little uncomfortable though, because she's supposed to be
insert
so young.
meme of Jack Nicholson maniacally smiling and nodding.
Yeah.
That you've all seen.
I do like and as I mentioned, it is weird that Ichikawa does literally want to murder this girl at the beginning. But it's the you effect, where you're reminded that he's really not that bad, and he probably would never actually murder her, because we're constantly comparing Ichikawa to some of his less compassionate classmates, who are constantly making rude comments to the girls. So, of course, we end up favoring the would-be murderer over them. But overall, there are some drawbacks to the show, but it's just so darn cute to me. So I like it, and therefore I recommend it. Mason.
What'd you have, Mitz?
I was just going to say there's a market for eating crickets, too, but that doesn't make them tasty.
To some people, yes.
The Dangers in My Heart is one of the more surprising successes of spring. I can't even talk. It does start off a little bit cringe, though I would argue in a bit of an endearing way. He is definitely not a murderer. He's not even close to actually being a murderer. Like, I think it's
Toonie.
He's just a toonie, but like the whole like, oh, he's a would-be murderer. He'll kill her in any second. Like, that's definitely just, I think, we'll talk about it later. I think it's more endearing than cringe. It is what it is. We'll get to it. I think this anime ends a bit undramatically. It kind of just, and you're like, oh, that's it? Okay, I guess I have to watch season 2. But I do think the show hits its stride for most of the middle runtime. That said, with season 2 announced for winter of 2024, unless it gets picked up for reviews,
Is it? Oh, yay!
Yeah, we're getting more of it. I probably won't be watching it. For all the numerous things
unless
it does do, unless you pass it, and then I'll watch it, and I wouldn't hate it. You know, it does do a lot of good things well. I think the comedy is actually pretty solid in the show, and it does have some endearing moments. That said, and this is just a personal thing, something just feels a little alien and artificial about these characters. Like, I couldn't quite connect to them. And I do think a lot of people enjoy this one, and I do think it's recommendable for many. I just don't want to attach my name on that recommendation. So no, I would not recommend it. Like, if someone said, oh, I'm watching the show because Mason said to, I'd be like, no, I never said that. I just said, you know, if you like these rom-coms, this one's actually surprisingly not bad if you can get past some moments at the beginning. So, but yeah, season 2 is coming, so hey, it's a thing.
Mason, that is also not what you put on the document. Do you know this?
I'm listen.
What is going on with you?
The document is bonus content.
Okay. Well, if you want to get the bonus content, you can do that if you want to see what Mason wrote, but it is not what he just...
Well, I don't look at the doc. These aren't my notes. I just go off the cuff.
Oh, shit. Mason's just a wild man. All right, here comes your spoilers.
Spoilers are coming. Oh my god!
I think we gotta talk about the characters first. But you lead the way,
Let's talk
Carol.
about our would-be murderer. No, I was gonna say similar. Like, let's talk about the premise of these characters and the fact that our main character is a want-to-be serial killer, which honestly you don't get many of as a main character in an anime.
So I think it's. Go ahead, Mitz.
They're creating a very stark dichotomy here inside of the same age group of characters, because this is really meant to be the Beauty and the Beast, like, you know, a 2 ends up with a 10, and like it's, you know, unexpected opposites attract. You know, it's been done a quadrillion times, but that's how you end up with the 14-year-old. I mean, I guess they're 14. I don't know. So he's 14 and he looks 9 because he's like 4'3", and he's demented. I don't know. He's basically Stewie Griffin. He's like, oh, I'm gonna murder everybody in my class because I don't know, I'm not popular. I don't know what the fuck his problem is. And then the girl, so they have to go the other way with her. So she's 14, but she's a model and she's fucking bombshell, and she looks 23. She's like, I looked it up. You can actually look their heights up or whatever. And they might have said it even in the show. I think they did. She's 5'7".
They measure each other.
She's 5'7". He's supposed to be like 4'1", like 5'1". I'm like, there's no fucking way. He looks 4'3". She's 5'7". She towers over him in the opening. There's even a scene where she's like looking over him, really like without any sense of personal space whatsoever. And I actually really like that shot. It's a good shot of her, but like, she's way the fuck taller than he is.
So to be fair, their sizes change dramatically throughout the show. Sometimes he comes up to like just her armpits. Sometimes he's way taller. Sometimes he's way shorter. Like, there's no continuity in their heights.
Why is it like people on the Twitch are like, some top models start in their early teens? Like, you don't have to defend the anime because you like it. I understand that some top models start in their teens. This girl has double D breasts, thighs of a 23-year-old. She's fully fucking grown. She looks like an absolute adult, and then some.
Her figure,
it's not even arguable.
Her figure is very developed, and it's not It's a very rare thing to have.
I
Izzy
agree
look
with
like
Mitch's
that.
point.
Let me
Yeah,
capstone the
13,
thought
14.
here. Let me capstone the thought. The thought is, in order to create this very opposites attract dichotomy, they have to age him down. They have to age her up. They have to push his looks down and push her looks to like god tier Oshinoko levels in order to make like this anime, the weird like opposites attract. That it is. And that's the only reason why she looks like that. I mean, that's just the facts of it.
I would feel a
I don't
lot
see
better
how you
about
can
it
get around
if
it.
they were in like high school. She still would look very mature for a high school girl, but I guess these
She
days,
would.
like a lot of high school girls, I feel like these days, they do kind of look way more mature than I used to. Like in my day in high school, I was wearing pants and a t-shirt, and these days they're wearing like high-end sweatpants and t-shirts because they roll out of bed. But yeah, anyway, I feel like I would feel a lot better looking at Anna if she was like 16, 17, because it is weird seeing somebody so young.
The thing
But
about
whatever,
anime,
it's not really that major.
there's so many anime memes out there where it's like, this girl's 9 and she's got like giant breasts and she looks 30. And like, this girl's 30 and she looks like she's 5. I don't know. It's too confusing. Anime is just too weird. Like, you just have to go based on what your eyes tell you. It's like, oh, does she look like an adult? She's an adult. If you want to think she's cute because she looks like an adult, then she's cute. I don't know what to tell you because half these characters in anime don't look anything like their ages. So it's just, I don't know, it's just very puzzling. Because I'm not going to look at a 30-year-old who looks like she's 5 and go, ooh, that's a hottie because she's 30. No, people are going to take me away in handcuffs because she looks 5. So I don't know. I'd rather look at her because she looks, I'd rather judge her looks based on how she looks and not just based on what her numerical number is.
So I agree with Caroline. High school probably would have had this go down smoother. I will say though, like, it's very, proven that girls tend to develop sooner than boys. So like, I get the whole dichotomy. I don't mind the way she looked. I just had a problem with, if you want to have a cute girl, that's fine, but not to have gratuitous boob bounces and a sweatshirt that's like half off when they like meet in the street. And you can say, oh, she's fashionable, she's in. Yeah, not all the time though. Not when she's walking her dog and like in cold weather, having her like sweatshirt like hanging off her like elbows and not properly on her shoulders because we need to show her boobs more. Like, that was a little iffy, but overall,
Yeah.
I didn't mind their designs. But my big thing with Ichikawa is, so the good part of him, I actually kind of like his Chunibyo beginnings. I get that it's divisive, but I kind of took it as like a form of like fond nostalgia. Like, we're seeing this character who's clearly pretending to be something he's not. And we can see in ourselves, the cringe things we did when we were young. Like, Ichikawa, he wants to be the Sigma Wolf. He wants to be this vicious, isolated killer. But under the surface, we can say he's not like that. He's just a struggling library cat. Like, he's trying to put on an act to fool his classmates, but more so to fool himself into thinking, oh, I don't have any friends
There's a
because I'm
reason
just...
why I'm alone.
Yeah, I'm
He
a
wants
loner
to be
because
alone.
I'm just such a harsh guy and I'm just not part of society, not playing by your rules
scary.
with edgy pants, but he's not. We see him for what he really is, and I think that's endearing in a way. Could I do without his voyeuristic library narration as he like watches Anna's like, oh no, don't do that. You'll spill crumbs all over the place. Oh, don't bend over. Like, don't do that. Like, okay, easy, buddy, easy. But overall, I don't mind him as a character. I didn't like that voyeurism. That never plays well with me.
Well, it's just
Yeah,
weird.
it did get a little bit much.
Again, the show goes very far to make him very weird because,
But to me, Yamada felt more like the alien. Like, her behavior, I just couldn't get a finger on it. If anything, she's more of a murderer.
I think
put
she's
that
just
like
stupid.
plastic bag over his head.
She's just a ditz.
Yeah.
She's a ditz is what she is. Pancake and I are...
Yeah, she's good.
That's what Pancake, she was like, this girl is just a ditz. And I'm like, yeah, clearly. I mean, she's like, I don't know. Her hobby is like munching candy in the fucking library. I don't know. But, I mean, he's definitely...
I'm never huge on like it being a character trait that a character eats a lot, especially if they're a girl, because they always somehow sexualize eating all the time. Not so much in this show, but it's just that because it happens in other shows, it just turns me off. Like, I don't really like it being
What
like,
about
oh, she's
Kenta,
such a
who's like,
glutton.
I like
Yeah,
them
she
big and
has this
squishy and
big head.
round.
I thought, honestly, I was kind of surprised by like how they characterize the boys in this class because it does seem somewhat realistic that all these kids are just like
I liked all
talking
the
about their
goofball
classmates.
classmates.
Yeah,
All their little quips and their little like as perverse and like silly as it was, like I thought that was really realistic in some ways and kind of
yeah,
like, oh, let's play a personality test game to try to get to hang out with the girls. Like that was all the kinds of stuff you would expect to see, and it was done really playfully. And I think a lot of the quips in the show were good. When Yamato's like, I got a role in the movie, and Ichikawa's like, what, are you playing a tree? Obviously an insult to like, oh, because like the tree person doesn't act, but also because she's so tall. Or when he's like throws his bike down the street to distract him, and he's like, oh, I hit the gas instead of the brakes. Like it's just dumb enough to be humorous, but like fitting the awkward comedy of middle school. I love the scene when he borrows Yamada's manga, and he's like, oh, I wonder how she reads it. Is it, sitting over? Is it laying down on his side? And he opens it up and the crumbs fall on his face. And he's like, because of that, he can figure out how she reads manga. Like, that's just really cute and really clever. Like, I love that stuff. But then we got all this dialogue and all these plots where, like, wouldn't it be crazy if you had a boyfriend and you held hands in your pocket? Wouldn't it be crazy if you had a boyfriend and you traded gym shirts? Wouldn't it be crazy if you had a boyfriend and you exchanged phone numbers? And then seconds after saying that is what happens in the show. It was just so much. Not that can't happen. It just was overly convenient and playing its hand and just kind of lazy writing in that regard.
Well, it can't happen. In reality, this would never happen. I mean, but I guess
it
it's
is.
kind of,
I'm
kind
not
of the point.
entirely sure why Anna likes Ishikawa, to be honest.
She wouldn't like him.
I don't. No, realistically, many things won't happen that do in anime. But I'm just saying, within the show, I know that they touched on it, but I can't remember exactly why Anna likes Ichikawa. Like, it wasn't quite. It was understandable, like fully,
I don't think they really say. The only thing I could really gather. At first, I thought it was going to be that he would talk to her and no one else would because she was so unapproachable because she's just about as different as he is by being just a smoke show or whatever. But then that doesn't really happen because he isn't like he's engaging in dynamic conversation with her. I don't recall a reason why she really likes him. It just kind of happens.
I think it was some sort of general, like, he treats her different than other people. I think
he wants
general.
to murder her secretly.
I actually kind of like how it's not explained. Not because you can't feel for her, that is a little odd, but it's more so when he has later on these doubts of like, does she actually like me? Is she just playing me for a fool? Is she just using me? Like, you can understand why he feels uncertain about it, because why does she like me? This isn't how it would go. She's definitely just like treats me as a friend. Like, that's the kind of insecurity people have when they're young and trying to get into relationships. Is the worst is if I like confess and it's like, oh, I don't like you. Like, that's the creepy thing, and that's why he's so like caught up on it. And I think the show does a good job of making the viewer kind of get into that point of like, yeah, why does she like him? This is kind of odd. So it could be a good thing, a bad thing, depending on what you want.
I'm glad that they brought in that thought process that, like, oh my gosh, is she actually just using me just as like a barrier to get away from all the other people that are trying to get with her? Because that, it would make sense for somebody to do that, and it goes into his psyche more. Like, at first he was putting up these airs of being creepy and weird because he didn't want people to give him a reason to believe that they didn't like him. But now that's like playing against him. Whereas like, oh, she must not like me because I am this way. And, that upsets him. And I'm glad that they kind of get into that by the midpoint, like a little after the midpoint, I think. Sorry, Mitz, were you going to say something?
Well, I definitely think they're too young for the content of this anime. I don't particularly care the way she looks. I think this is anime, and I'm not gonna harp on it because why waste your breath on something that's prevalent as fuck and not going away. But I mean, for a romance to happen, they have to be mature enough to have a romance, and they're not mature enough. So when you get to the end of the show and there's the scene where like they're in his bedroom and she's laying on the bed and he's like leaning over her, like he's not old enough to be in that situation. You want him to be old enough.
They do a lot in the show.
I wanted him to
masturbate quite a lot in the show, so you got to give them that.
Well, people are masturbating, but they're also cowards because they're not socially they're not enough social skills to be put in those types of scenarios. But you know, I don't know. I just feel like this anime, generally speaking, is you kind of have to assume that nothing's going to really occur between these two. And that goes straight down to the point of like him wondering why she likes him. I mean, those are just insecurities that a young person would have, because if you really sit back and you think about it like an adult and you go, what would she possibly gain from essentially taking a social risk by liking some guy that everybody else thinks is an outcast or something? He offers her nothing. So it's not like, it isn't like there's anything to really gain from it, but he's not old enough to understand that is just the facts of things. He's not rich. He's not hot. He's not strong. He's not maybe he's smart. I'm not sure, but that's not really a plot point. But he's smart.
I think one thing he has in his favor is that even though he does find her physically attractive, I think she's so used to having every guy like kind of creep on her. I think that at least from that perspective, he doesn't creep on her. At least not when he's not murdering her, you know. But
no, and he's not as bad.
Like he's more comfortable, I think, than other guys that she's around with.
And he's not as bad as like Onani Master Kurosawa or something like that. But he's not like running off to the bathroom to, you know, take his revenge against her. Although that kind of was what I thought of when I first saw this. I'm like, oh, look at this. He's Onani Master. He's just going to go to the bathroom and just take his revenge on all these girls that don't like him. Instead, he just awkwardly hides in the library, which is, let's be fair, way less entertaining. And there's no fucking way this anime will ever be as good as Onani Master is because of the character transformations that manga has. But I don't know. I wonder where season 2 of this will go, because he just has a long fucking way to go. I mean, of all the characters we've got in this lineup now, where like we're waiting for season 2, will they hook up? You know, there's the dress up darling guy. There's this guy. I feel like there's several more I'm forgetting from recently, but like he has the worst odds to have something happen. And I don't know. I don't even know what I'm saying at this point, to be honest with you.
I don't know if accusing middle schoolers of not properly analyzing the social exchange of like, oh, what do I have to offer her in the social standing? Like, I think it's not what's going to happen in this kind of romance show. Like, they're kids, they're figuring out themselves, they're figuring out each other, and that's why the show, like, they hold hands, but that's it. Like, they're still trying to accept that they are capable for a relationship, and they're feeling it out, and it's cute.
Yeah. I mean, I think I basically talked about everything I had in my head. What about you guys? Is there anything else we need to touch on?
Just some visual inconsistencies that really bugged me. Obviously, I mentioned the different sizes. Some off-model faces. There was 2 right hands at episode 12. That was weird on one person.
No!
How do you notice that?
The phone camera selfie remained uninverted. So they take a selfie on Ichikawa's phone, and if you take a selfie on a phone, when it shows you the picture, it flips it back around. But it didn't flip it back around. Pretty much all modern phones do that. And the only ones who don't, you would go into the settings and change it. And Ichikawa does not look like the kind of guy who would go into his selfie phone settings. He's probably never taken a selfie in his life. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Mason's like a savant. I don't know how you notice shit like that. 2 right hands? They would never notice.
2 right hands. I mean, they just probably forgot to draw the thumb. It's not a big deal, but it did look kind of goofy. And also, at the end, a shot that looked really good when she does kind of give him that hug, and it like hyper details on her shimmering eyes and hair and stuff like that. Like, that looked too good for the show. I'm all for shows looking good, but don't ruin the consistency of your show and have like one standout hyper detailed Akebi sailor uniform tear shot right after you draw like a really dumpy two right-handed lady. Like consistency matters more to me than like one shot of Sakuga in the middle of a mediocre looking show. So I don't know. That's just me. I don't like moments like that. So overall, though, it was fine. It sounded fine. Looked fine. Got the job done. I think the older sister, Ichikawa's sister, was awesome. I loved seeing her, like, big sibling. Oh, how do I deal with my little sibling having a crush? And do I get involved? Do I not get involved? Do I embarrass him by showing yearbook photos? Like that was, I don't know. I thought that was really awesome. So, yeah, a lot of moments I liked from the show. But just, I couldn't get the characters. They didn't work with me. So that's all I had.
I maintain that I think the OP is better than this anime. I thought it was exceptionally done. I love the color palette of the OP. I love how they limited it to basically bright pastels. There were only several colors, I think, that were used. There were a couple images from the OP that really I enjoyed that I wish would have hung around longer. There was the shot where, like I mentioned before, where she's kind of looking down over him. That just kind of shows her personality and his personality all in one shot, where she's kind of the overbearing, strangely lacking social understanding, very lacking personal space, very much the one driving the relationship, which is what she is, and she's kind of in his face, leaning over him, almost like she's going to like devour him. That's 100% a great shot from the OP. I love how he kind of falls through the darkness, and which is where his life clearly is. And then it lights up and he lands on her hair, which is like, she's pretty much the only thing that's he's got going for him, honestly. Like, that's pretty much clear. And she kind of brings light back to his life, and then she flicks him off of her hair perfectly with the beat of the music. And I was like, I waited for it. I waited for it every time. I actually watched the OP most of the time, most episodes to this. I really think the OP was masterfully done.
Says
Again,
someone who hasn't seen Fist of the North Star's OP yet.
Well, fair enough. I just don't like him. She's gonna turn 16 and go, why am I with this guy? I can do way better. And she's gonna
have a growth spurt.
No, he's very intentionally monstrous. I mean, he is like just hateful to her also, by the way. Like, he's nasty. Like, he has no, it makes no sense that he's with this girl. He treats her badly. He's too shy. He brushes her off. He's just not, in my opinion, good to this girl at all. And she's going to wake up when she enters like high school and go, oh, there's dudes here that are like, you know, hot and like tall and not, you know, weird. And she's just going to dump him. And he's just hard to root for. I mean, all he does is hide behind the books in the library, fuck up every possible scenario that he could where he's with her, and she just keeps coming back for more, and I can't grasp it. But for me, I just couldn't get behind this anime very much because I just don't like him. Honestly, like, it would have been much better if, like, honestly, it would have been more cliche, but at least things would move along if she wasn't with this guy, and he's just not going anywhere, honestly. And I'm not buying the whole evil in my heart bullshit. Like, it just didn't materialize into anything. He did nothing at all the whole show related to the dangers in my heart. I don't know what the dangers in your heart are. This looks like depression to me, but he didn't do anything.
I'm pretty sure the dangers in my heart is referring to the fact that he finds his attractive, he finds her attractive, his crush on her. That's the danger in his heart because it's forcing him to come out of his shell.
Exactly.
Mitsugi. That's the danger.
I don't think he really did that, so we've failed so far.
I mean, he's holding hands with her. He's having conversations. They're going to the temple on
fuck
New Year's Day.
Fuck me, man. If a girl literally pursued me daily for an entire year, I would hope I'd be at least able to hold her hand. For God's sake, like, it's like the bare minimum. I mean,
but he doesn't even He's as dumbfounded as you are that she has attraction for him. So of course he's not going to believe it.
It's not really a matter of believing. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Should I just give it a score? I don't know.
Yeah, let's score it.
I don't know. To me, the other problem with this anime was just the pacing. It's just another show. Like, we were still hiding behind the shelves in the library, like on episode 7, and I couldn't even believe it. I was like, I was like, I'm not even upset that nothing will happen because I knew nothing would happen. It's just like I'm over that, and honestly, I'm a little burned out of it right now, so it's not even worth ranting about like usual. Sorry if you're one of the listeners that likes to hear me rant about this, but like, we got to have more than him hiding in the bookshelves by episode 7. Like, it's just the same. Like, probably 2 whole episodes of this anime was spent watching her eat candy in the library and him hiding. And it's just too slow. Nothing happened. Same old, same old. She was a decent character. She deserved better, I think. But ultimately, I think the OP was the best thing we had going for us here. I'm going to give it a 2.5. 2.5. 2.5 times I like a dipshit like knock the books off the bookshelf in the library out of 5 because I'm really terrible at hiding.
Books off the bookshelf? They're meant to keep them stable.
He got caught. He got caught back there like 4 times. I'm just like, bro, you're bad at this. Out of 5.
All right. I'll agree with you on certain things. Like, they did get a bit repetitive. Like, how many times are they going to go to the library? How many times is he behind a bookshelf and she's eating candy and somebody comes up to her and he's like eavesdropping, but then they find out? And how many times is he trying to help her keep the candy out of sight and he does something somewhat romantic that looks like he's trying to, like, I don't know, touch her boob or there are things that were repetitive, but for me and my tastes, it didn't bother me too much. I just thought it was cute and it was sweet, and every time the episode title came up and like those little moments that something dramatic happens and the music does its thing and
those were nice.
It flashes on the screen, I'm like, oh, it's cute. And I like Ichikawa. I don't. He's not the typical black-haired protagonist, but because he is a little choony, he's a little emo. It's a little at the beginning, but I don't mind him that much. And Anna's good. And overall, I really enjoyed this show. It doesn't break the mold of any of the typical quote-unquote rom-com animes because there's not much rom in it. But I will definitely watch season 2. So therefore, I'm going to give this show a 3.5 Yamada eating candies out of 5.
Real quick, before Mason goes, the chat pointed out that I gave Insomniacs a 3, and I only gave this a 2.5. I actually think this anime is better than Insomniacs, so I'm going to go back and revise my prior score on Insomniacs and lower that to a 2.5. There you go. Thank you.
Oh.
This was like a 2.5. A 2.6, and Insomniacs was like a 2.4. So there we go.
Round that up to 3.
Mason on point. He's already in there. He's already edited it. So thank you, chat. You are totally great.
This is definitely going to twist around some of the bets that we have going on right now, because I think there's a bet on whether you'll like this show more than Insomniacs.
Well, I do like this show better than Insomniacs because I like Anna. She was just a ray of sunshine in this anime, and I think that was the entire point.
So you're keeping both at 2.5?
Yeah.
Okay. I still like Insomniacs more than the show. I think from a romance side, the vibe of the 2 characters in that show was much more what I guess I'm looking for. And to me, I think the show did a lot well, but on the romance side, it didn't work for me. This show felt like it was playing all the right notes, but on the wrong instrument. It was like playing through a kazoo. Like, it was doing it well, but at the end of the day, it was still a kazoo, and it could not overcome the chord dissatisfaction I had with just the nature of the characters. While they didn't piss me off, they never jumped out of the screen. They were just always very much, oh, I'm watching an anime. And they didn't become believable entities like with Skip and Loafer or Insomniacs. They were just so artificial and just off, I guess, in my mind, that I just never connected to it. So maybe on my side, that's the problem. But for me, this was too much of a sin for me to get over it. So I'm going to give Dangers in My Heart 2.5 dog keychains out of 5.
I can't believe it.
Why? Why can't you believe it?
I wanted at least one of you to give it a 3.
He's just
so
terrible.
Average to you guys.
It had a couple good comedy moments, but the romance didn't connect. It was too repetitive, and
it wasn't funny either. Like, I don't know where the humor was, But I also don't think anime is funny like almost ever. And if it is, it's usually like something like Prison School, because I just don't think the social jokes and like the weird gags, they just don't land. So I don't know. I didn't think it was funny, and I didn't think it was very romantic. So I don't know what the fuck I was watching. So yeah, I don't know. I can't give it a great score.
I'm disappointed, but okay.
I don't hate it. I didn't rant about my normal bullshit, but you know.
I'm glad for that.
I mean, I just wanted it to be. I don't know. I just didn't like Ichikawa. He's too weird. He's like
it still averages out to a 3 regardless.
He's a tiny goblin. He's like, look at me, I'm a goblin. I secretly plot your death in the classroom. He's just a caricature of a character. He's Stewie Griffin, but in middle school.
I don't think he's as nasty as you made him out to be, but that's why we have different opinions on the show.
Yeah.
Except the same score, so the same opinion.
If they had colors, he is pure black, completely, and she is like an array of the pastel colors you saw in the opening, and that's the point. But you know, it's pure black is hard to get behind.
3 out of 5. Season 2 coming soon.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's our show for today. You can find us on Twitter at AAA Podcast, on Facebook as well. Please join our Discord, and we can talk all sorts of stuff. And you can join us for anime club and watch parties. And we are on TikTok as well whenever I decide to post. And next week, I believe we will be reviewing My Happy Marriage. It's another romance!
Jesus, what is wrong with people?
It's just the first one that finishes from this season.
90% of all anime viewership is shonen, and we never talk about it.
The shonen's on its 17th season.
Well, we're going to have to fix this.
This one's on Netflix, so you'll be much happier with the viewing experience.
Yeah, what the fuck is with High Dive? Like, they don't even dub shit anymore.
We were so close. We were so close
kidding.
without a High Dive rant.
I didn't rant.
Okay.
I just think I sucks.
It was a little jab.
Yeah, a little jab.
But thanks for joining us, guys. We'll be back next week, 5 p.m. EDT on Twitch. Please join us.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.